Hello and welcome to Feed the Seed to Succeed, where we embrace everything positive. My name is Fungus.
I'm Terrence Stewart. T. Stu, what it do?
My name is Fidel Chagolla.
Yeah, yeah. This week, man, was all about changing the narrative. For people living with past convictions. So we got Fidel, a friend, a guy I know very well. I met him. We was on the way to the state capitol to advocate for people living with past convictions. It was his first time um, going to the state capitol. And ever since then, he did so much more. Man, he's a dynamic person involved in underground scholars. All of us are none, starting over Inc., free, and so much more. So, man, for everybody, give it up for my man. Here we go, my man Fidel.
Yeah, thank you for that intro, Terrence. As Terrence mentioned, the organizations that I'm with, my name is Fidel Chagolla. I am formerly incarcerated. And you know what? I like that, feed the seed, because that's exactly what we're doing here today. The reason why I say that, because I am currently finishing up in grad school and clinical mental health counseling at the University of Redlands. And like Terrence mentioned, I am a part of the Underground Scholars Initiative, which helps folks that are formerly incarcerated transition over into higher education. And I also work as an organizer for Riverside All of Us or None. What we do is we work on civic engagement and advocacy work in the community that we live in.
Right on, right on, right on. Yeah, man. See, I think it's so tight because I'm a founding member of Riverside All of Us or None. And I've been there. They've been on this radio show quite a few times over the years. But when we was the Roundtable Roundup, and you know, like Fidel is the now. He's the now of it. They just did a thing that I was there since the first one. And that was about 11 years ago. We started the backpack drive giveaway, and Fidel is one of the main organizers for the backpack drive giveaway. Hey, yo, Fidel, put us up on game. Tell us a little bit about the backpack drive giveaway.
Okay, well, so this year we had our backpack giveaway, which is annual, like Terrence just mentioned right now. This year we were able to have our sponsors, which was Altura Credit Union, Women Strengthening Women, Starting Over Inc. Sabrina Cervantes' office came up and showed up, and then of course our amazing volunteers, Riverside All of Us or None. Just being able to get all these folks together, so that way we could bring backpacks with supplies for kids going to school, and as well as give them tickets to Castle Park. It was an amazing event. We were able to provide over 500 backpacks with school supplies to kids in the community of Riverside at Castle Park. It started around 7 o'clock. It finished around, I want to say, 10 o'clock. There was a lot of games and activities that we had for the kids. We had that yoga dude come out. He was able to do some yoga stretches, some breathing techniques for folks out there, not only for the kids, but for the parents as well. So it was really a great turnout. We had games. We were giving information out, resources. All the organizations were able to provide different resources to the community of Riverside. So it's an amazing event. Thank you for bringing that up, Terrence.
Nah, man, that event is what really got me active in the community. Straight up, like like even I'm gonna talk about this later, but even more than a policy change, that event was like where because the backpack drive giveaway is tailored. Anybody could come and get a backpack, but it's tailored for kids whose parents are incarcerated or formerly incarcerated. You know, and like that's noteworthy because the statistics show that if your parents are incarcerated or your parents are formerly incarcerated, the likelihood that you may be incarcerated, is increased, is enhanced. So like, we're trying to we try to offset that statistic, you know what I mean, by providing by encouraging education, you know what I mean, by encouraging family time. That's why they give out trips to the amusement park. you know, so that like, you know, people who having a hard time dealing with the collateral consequences of criminal conviction, and it makes it hard for them to get jobs and housing and all this stuff, you know, the everyday struggle is real. So like we try to like create a way that, you know, family time, you know what I mean? Family time, you know, and and that was the significance of the backpack. Like the education was the significance of that, but then also the significance of giving them a chance to go to an amusement park as a family, you know. And sometimes people have multiple kids, and it's giving a ticket to all the kids, you know, not just one or two, but every kid that showed up for a backpack. So like, you know, that's what brought me to this, you know, like policy work and all that stuff came later, you know, but just the simple fact that like, you know, that and when I see you there, Fidel, mingling with the people, when I see you mingling with the people and, you know, getting people the stuff that they need, you know, it touches my heart, bro. You know, I wanted to take that time out to give you your flowers, man, because I see you, bro. You know, I watched you at that thing with your son, your family. You know what I mean? Like I watched you with my own eyes, man, and I seen it, man, and I said, man, this is what's up, you know, because it's something that I was there for the first one, you know, and now I see the legacy still living on because I'm not actively doing it no more, you know, but I show up and I see, you know, something that. So it's like we said, this thing is feed the seed. You feel me? Feed the seed. You know? So, you know, I appreciate you. You know, and also like we both was part of underground scholars. You know, like Fidel helped me become a founding board member for underground scholars. I was his nomination. You know what I mean? I was Fidel nomination. You know what I mean? We gonna change the nation with Fidel nomination. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, so like college, right? Okay. Tell me, Fidel, why go to college? I better get step back. How long was you incarcerated?
Okay. Yeah. You know, to be honest, I never really thought about pursuing higher education. But you know, I realized that man, I realized how much I love learning right now. So for me, I did a total of 16 years. I did 10 years in state prison, and then I did 6 years in the California Youth Authority. That's when I first started. Like the last grade I attended before I got incarcerated was the ninth grade. And then, so the next grade, it was going to be the 10th grade, and then I got incarcerated. And then I finished school while I was in juvenile hall, while I went to the California Youth Authority. Um, and I got my diploma while I was incarcerated at the California Youth Authority. And then I saw individuals, you know, getting extra program time, and I was like, wait a minute, how are you getting out more? You know, how are you able to move around more? Because I want to do that too. So then I found out that they were taking college courses, and I was like, oh shoot, let me try that. And then I was like, well, what's the requirements? And they're like, all you gotta do is have a diploma. And I was like, oh man. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna check that out. So then I started taking a few college courses, and then I was like, okay, wow, I'm learning different things that I never really were able to focus on before because of surviving in the streets, because of being raised in San Bernardino and running the streets with different folks. This gave me a time to like literally like focus on the schooling that I was getting, and it was expanding my thinking processes. And while it was expanding my thinking process, I guess it lit a desire to continue learning. And then of course I uh I did that until I got paroled, and then I paroled, then I came back again, and then when I went to prison, uh you know, I was getting tired of what was going on in prison, and getting tired of just going out to the yard working out, and I was trying to take myself away from everything that was going on around me because it was like a black hole that I was stuck in. So what did I do? I signed up for college courses, and right there and then, it gave me a different drive. I was able to start thinking. I was able to start learning different concepts. I was learning to focus on math. And learning math in there, algebra is very difficult while you're out here. But learning in there and not having many folks that know how to do the algebra was very difficult. So I had to really make sure that I was focusing on the steps that were being explained through the instructions of the assignments that was given. And I learned how to pretty much teach myself by reading very thoroughly over and over and over until I finally got it. And that's the technique that I have been using is keep going. Sometimes, things take me hours to figure it out, but I continue to stay on it so that way I could figure it out. But that's how I ended up pursuing education.
And just to highlight this, where are you at in your educational journey?
Oh man, I'm finishing up with my Master's of Arts in Clinical Mental Health Counseling.
At what university?
University of Redlands, which is a private university.
Come on.
And all I'm doing is finishing up my practicum hours and taking an exit exam, and I'm done because I already finished all the curriculum part.
Nice.
And he fought for tell him how you fought for your tuition.
Oh man, so the thing about it is I already knew I was going to face challenges into the field that I got into, right? So for me being a member of Underground Scholars and for me being a member of Riverside All of Us Learn, I learned how to advocate for myself. So when I went to the university, I was talking to my advisors, talking to professors, letting them know, like, I'm gonna have some difficult challenges after first of all, let me back up because it was a process in order for me to be able to stay into that program. I had to literally do a background check because one of the requirements for going into clinical mental health counseling, you have to pass a certificate of clearance, which is with the BBS, Behavioral of Social Sciences or something like that. You have to pass that, and I could not pass that because of my convictions that were from 2002. So they made a special recommendation for me so that way I could stay into the program and go through all the courses knowing that I was going to face challenges. I had to get some approvals. I had to get 7 letters of recommendation. I had to get my police reports. I had to get my court order documents just so I could stay into that university, just so I could finish up the classes. Because even though I graduated, it wasn't going to necessarily mean that I was going to be licensed. I still had to follow steps. I still needed 3,000 hours to get licensed as a licensed professional clinical counselor. So I was going to face challenges regardless, but I was willing to go through it. And they made that exception for me to be able to stay in the classes without that certificate of clearance. So at the same time as I'm advocating for myself, I was like, well, I'm facing these challenges already. It's $54,000. I'm working 3 jobs. I need some help. What kind of scholarships are available? So I advocated for myself and they gave me the Dean Scholarship, which is a 40% tuition cut. So, oh man, that helped me out. I was able to get a little bit of funds back while I'm working to make it a little bit easier for me because it was already challenging.
Come on. You see, what I could hear is the resiliency, like young men coming up rough, San Bernardino, YA, prison, but you wanted more in life, right? You wanted more in life, and your resiliency when everybody try to shut these doors. I push can't, right? They try to slap you with all these can'ts, right? They try to slap you with all these can'ts. You can't go do this. You can't be this. You can't get that. But you told them, only thing I can't is can't. And you push, you know what I mean? You opened up doors to explore, to open up doors to get more. You know what I mean? And like, man, and I've been watching you on this journey. If you see my background, it says the journey is just as important as the destination. You know what I mean? Like I've been watching this journey, you know what I mean? From like you on a bus going to the state capitol, thinking nervous. I remember you was nervous, like, you think it's gonna be okay? I'm like, man, you got this, you know what I'm saying? And we sat back there, we chopped it up on the back of the bus, you know what I mean? And like, you know, to see you today, man, you know, it's what's needed, you know, because like it's over, it's about damn near 8 million people in California that's living with a record. And a lot of us got this drive in us, you know. It just takes us having the proper opportunity, you know, take us to have the proper opportunity, you know, and like that's why it's so important about this narrative change. Because like if you talk to Fidel, some people will look at him and look at his record, like me too. They look at our records and they can't see past our records. But then if you listen to what Fidel's talking about, you see that, man, this is a man of dignity, a man of respect, you know, a community activist, you know. My I'm gonna say this real quick. My nephew, well, a guy, he came on the show too. My man Brandon, he came on here. We were talking about the community healing. He was talking about somatics, and he came on the show for to feed the seed. And his son is now a Highlander. You know what I mean? He go to UCR. I'm gonna bring him to the radio station. He did radio in Oakland for years. I'm gonna bring him to the radio station to meet y'all. You know, hopefully he'll be on here. You know, and and he needed help with housing. You know, and I called Fidel, and Fidel said, "Man, I know somebody. I know somebody." You know what I mean? And now my nephew is being put in a position to get housing at the college. You know, and he was so afraid, and he was so like nervous because, you know, you're a freshman, your first time you leaving home, you're all this stuff, you know. But he had a support system, you know, and like that's what this is about, is like creating a support system to feed the seed so that we could succeed, you know. you know so like I know I'm jumping subjects around here and stuff, but one another barrier that we face as people living with past convictions is um discriminatory housing, you know, especially like as college students, you know. And to today, the other day we always there, is that we had a rally in front of the city council about, like, you know, providing opportunities for people like me, people like Fidel, to get housing, to get housing, you know. And like you know, you want to elaborate any on that, Fidel?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, right? When a lot of us come home, right, we're in immediate need of housing. We're in immediate need of opportunities. We're in immediate need of clothing, food. A lot of these things are barriers that we face because we do our time, we get out, and we still continue to face barriers over barriers over barriers. But yet, the recidivism rate is supposed to decrease. How is it supposed to decrease if we're not able to eliminate these barriers, such as the housing sector? Now, the thing about it is we get pushed back into the same uh, communities that we come from. A lot of us, you know, we come out, we do time, we're older, we want different things in life. We're not young kids anymore. We grow up. We want opportunities, but we can't get opportunities based off all these different barriers that we face. So when it comes to housing, for example, in San Bernardino, they have an ordinance, which is MC 1351. And that ordinance says if law enforcement gets called out to your residence more than 3 times, the landlord has to evict you, no matter what. Now, that included with background checks, that's included with 911, that's included if you're elderly, that's included if it's domestic violence cases. The thing about it is we get scrutinized. We're getting scrutinized and we're getting pushed out. And a lot of people don't even know why they're getting evicted, but it's because of that ordinance that has been in effect, I want to say, since 2010 or 12. Now, the thing about it, that's why it's so important for our people to start actively getting involved with civic engagement and advocacy work, showing up to their city council meetings so that way they know about these things. Because we have been affected and we continue to be affected. In Riverside, multifamily housing, again, it's neighborhood watch. Again, who are they watching? People of color, black, brown, people of color. So the thing about it is, when are these barriers ever going to end? Well, they're going to end the more we continue to get involved in civic engagement advocacy work, showing up at city council meetings. So today, we have a city council meeting in Riverside at, I believe, around, we're going to say 12:30 because I think it starts at 1. You show up today, show up today. Because the thing is, we got to start showing up. We got to start showing up for our people. Like Terrence mentioned, there's 8 million people. There's a total of 70 million people in the United States living with the record today. They're facing 48,000 barriers. We got to start getting involved in civic engagement advocacy work. We got to start voting. We start to be actively involved so that way we can eliminate these barriers.
Nah, that's absolutely right. You know, and I don't know if I ever talked about it, but during my college, when I was first enrolled, I try to find apartments, and that's how I found out about crime free multi housing project. Is that I was being denied over and over and over again, and it wasn't because of my credit score, you know, it was because of my record. And like by the time I got here, I was already put in the who's of colleges and universities. I was already won top awards, business scholarships. I was already on my way to being a leader, and I had high self esteem. You know, I got out of prison. I went to college. I got the top awards. I had over 3.7 GPA. I was um, having a baby. Like, you know, I transferred from Compton College to UCR. You know, like I was on this whole trajectory of feeling good about myself, feeling that, you know, like I am more than my criminal record. I didn't gave my number back, and now I am a member of society. Until I get hit with, I'm sorry, sir, we would love for you to live here, but because of these policies, and like you could see the sincere on the person who was telling me this face that they want to provide housing for me and my family. They didn't want to see me homeless as a person in the community. You know, they seen the baby, you know, they seen I walked around with a backpack full of awards. They seen all of this stuff, and it's nothing that they could do about it. As a human, it was nothing that they could do about it. It was the policy. It's the same thing I'm finding out about employers. Employers, if they could get a good worker that'll be loyal to the company, that all the things that we could provide, they don't want to turn down work. They would love for us to work there, but it's the policy. It's the blocking of a person to getting legal licenses. You know, like these are the barriers, you know. And like a lot of times we take it individual, like these people don't want us to live there, but it's systematic. And that's what he was saying. Like for me, what I heard is that we have to change these policies, because the policies is the roadblocks. The policies is the can'ts. You know, the policies, you know, and it takes, no matter how resilient we are, no matter how much we changed our lives, no matter how much time we did. He said 16 years. Like the CDCR, right? They put an R on it. It's for California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So let's these two words I want to look at. Corrections means to make something right. If you correct it, make something right, right? Rehabilitation means to make something new. So if I did my time in a system that's supposed to corrected me and made me new, why ain't I new? Why do I have to go through these barriers? You know, okay, they suggest that I do some kind of supervision to make sure that I'm corrected, and they put me on a probation or parole. But then you complete that, and you still got these barriers, you know. And this recommendation comes from a judge that has been doing their duty for probably like 20, 30 years to be a judge, a public defender that went to college to get to that point, a district attorney that had to go to college and be a lawyer for however long it is. They provided a trumped up number for me to be corrected and rehabilitized. And after I do it, I still got a whole another set of roadblocks in front of me. So, like, you know, that's what it's about. It's about removing these barriers and stuff that we have so we can really fulfill our fulfillment in life, you know. So, man, I just wanted to say something. Fungus. Do you
Yeah.
have any questions for Fidel?
Well, we're in the last about 5 minutes. I want to know a little bit more about underground scholars. So Fidel, can you tell us about underground scholars and why is it important to you?
Oh man, underground scholars. The way I got involved with underground scholars because when I first went to UCR, University of California, Riverside, I was working at Amazon, and I was working at Amazon for 2 years, working 10-hour shifts, and I wasn't able to get involved in any kind of organization. Didn't even know what an organization was because I was just focused on work, school, and I worked night shifts, so I would come in to school tired, and I was like, oh man. And then one day I was walking out of a class, and then some guy was like, "Hey, you ever been incarcerated?" I was like, "Damn, like that." His name was Carlos Cruz. He's a PhD student right now at the University of California, Riverside. And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they started telling me about the Underground Scholars Program. Like, you know what? Uh, it's pretty much a student organization, and the folks that are involved are, folks that have been formerly incarcerated and folks that have been system impacted. And what we do is we still provide a support network, and we help each other. We have resources, whether it might be some supplies or whether it be just navigating the UC system at the time because we didn't have any funding. So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of busy right now, but I can't. But the day I decided that I was going to stop working at Amazon so that way I could focus more on my schooling, I started getting involved with Underground Scholars. I went to check it out, and I was like, oh man, there's more people like me here. So I found a community, and that's so important for folks coming home that have been formerly incarcerated, because a lot of the times we tend to want to do things on our own, or it's hard for us to interact just based off of our experiences, or feeling that we're out of place, that stigma, imposter syndrome. And what Underground Scholars does is it provides a community of folks from various different backgrounds that have been affected by the justice system. And the thing about it is, it gives us a space to communicate. It gives us a space to learn from each other. It gives us a space to learn how to accept criticism. It gives us so many different experiences because there's different students from whether they're in the grad school or whether they're undergrad or whether they're in the PhD program that have been formerly incarcerated that we can learn from. It helps us be able to work on statements of purpose. So it helps expand our thinking processes about continuing higher education. And that's the most amazing part. So Underground Scholars has expanded. It's at all the UCs in California except UC Merced, but we're working on that right now. We have directors in certain locations because of funding that we advocated for at the state capitol. We got advocated for 1 million, and then we advocated for 4 million. So that way we can have directors at our schools that will assist folks that have been justice impacted, formerly incarcerated, or system impacted.
Yeah. Nice. Well, in closing, do you have any last words or any words of inspiration you want to leave the audience?
You know what? When you're thinking about like feed the seed, right? We have to feed that seed, and that's all of our folks that are coming home, that will be coming home, that are working towards coming home. So that way they know what we did and they know that it's obtainable, because a lot of the times we think things ain't obtainable because of our past records. Are we going to face challenges? Yes. But that's where we got to stay together and provide that social support network that we never had.
Well, thank you, Fidel. Thank you for joining us today on the program. Thank you, Terrence. And with that said, this is the Feed to Succeed radio program, and keep things positive from here into the future.
You got it, I mean.